What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. I hope you guys have had a great weekend so far. Mine has actually been going very well. Plus, thanks to Memorial Day, I get Monday off too. And we all know how much I like to go to work on Mondays. So this is a good weekend for me. Let's go ahead and get into today's video. Today we are going to go over something that I've been wanting to do for a while now, just because it is so popular right now. I wanted to check it out, but I kind of started off light and checked out part of it, but not all of it. So today we're going to dig in a little deeper. And what is that? Well, if you recall the last my two videos I've done, they've been on the Nix package management system, which is pretty darn cool. I've just kind of covered how to install it on Void and how to run updates on it and kind of add stuff to your configuration file to be able to use like unfree and all that. So I didn't get real deep into that either, and we're not going to get real deep into today's topic either. But today we are going to install NixOS. And I'm going to see if I can't get a graphical environment up and running. I'm not going to get real deep into it. I'm probably just going to install a few programs and just see what we can do based on what I have gone around and looked at. I might be doing this the wrong way. I might be doing this the right way. I don't know. We're just going to see what happens. So at the end of this video, if you're watching and you got any tips for me with this, by all means, shoot me a message in the comments, shoot me an email, let me know. And just a heads up, I am going to be doing this with the calamares installer. I do want to do a base install from the command line here eventually, but for right now, I just want to check Nix out, so we're going to kind of go the easy route. But I am not going to install it with a desktop, so we're gonna do all that from scratch. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? I'm going to go ahead and hit my mod shift V, and that's going to launch my virtual machine creator, and we're going to hit enter to add a virtual machine. We are going to do NixOS. We'll give it 6 CPUs. We're going to do 8192 for memory. Name of ISO is going to be NixOS.iso. I think that's what I called it. Let's see here. CD desktop ISO, and then do an LS, and it's NixOS.iso. Correct. So okay. That needs to be capitalized, NixOS.iso, and we're going to hit enter. Disk size, we're just going to do 35 like I normally do. Linux 2020 is what I usually use. I should probably update that, but that's just kind of what I remember, so that's what I use. And then we're going to do a UEFI install. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter, and we're going to go ahead and get this virtual machine started up. Now, again, I did say I'm doing the non-command line version. Again, I would like to get into doing the command line version and check it out, but I don't think I'm quite there yet. I have done a little bit of reading, and I've learned a few little things, so we're just going to kind of see if this works out for me or not, and we'll take it from there. So who knows, this whole video might be a failure, and you guys might see what a horrible computer guy I am, and go, man, we're never watching this guy's channel again. But things might work out for me, and you guys might think, hey, yay for Jake, we're going to continue watching his channel because we like him so much. And by the way, I want to give a shout out, actually a special thank you to the couple people who have actually already signed up for memberships. I do greatly appreciate it. Again, I'm not pushing memberships, but I do want to say thank you to those of you who did do it and signed up. It is greatly appreciated. I do this for free, and I don't mind doing it for free, but it does help to have a little bit of support and people who show that they appreciate you in any way, not just by donating money, but also with comments and shares and likes and subscription and prayers and everything else that you guys do to support my channel. It's great. So let's go ahead and get this going. So this is going to take a second, I think, because it is doing something weird, but we're just going to give it a second here to sit and see if it actually fires up. There we go. Now we have GNOME. Oof, yuck! I cannot stand GNOME, but it's a video for a different day, I guess. If I ever do a desktop environments I can't stand. No offense to you GNOME users, if it works for you, that's great. For me, it is just not something I am interested in the slightest. The workflow is just horrible for me. So I digress. Let's go ahead and get on with the installation, shall we? So American English, that is correct. So we're going to go ahead and say next. I am in that time zone. I'm not in Chicago, but that's where I am, so we're going to hit next. I do want the default US keyboard. Users, my full name is Jake, that is that's all I need. My password is going to be, I don't need to require a strong password for my VM, so we're just going to do a super secret, uncrackable 4-letter password. We're going to use the same password for our root, and we're going to go ahead and hit next. Now for desktop, again, I said we're not going to do a desktop, so we're going to click on no, and we're going to hit next. NixOS is fully open source. Sure, why not allow unfree software? I don't know why I'm going to need it, but that's that. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. I've read all kinds of different partitioning schemes for NixOS, and that's something that I don't really want to mess around with. too much, but I guess we will do a manual partition, and I'll partition it the way I normally partition my stuff. I could just do erase the whole disk and go from there, and it would put everything on one partition, but I think we're going to go ahead and do, you know what, actually no, we'll just do erase the whole disk. We're going to do no swap, and we're going to hit next. I could break it up, but I guess I don't really see the need to in a virtual machine because, you know, it's a virtual machine. So we've got everything checked out, and we're going to go ahead and hit install. So this is going to take a few minutes to go ahead and do this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pause the video, and I will come back to it when it is all done installing, and I will see you soon. Okay, we are all done with the installation. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on the restart now, and we're going to select done. And this should go ahead and log out, close my virtual machine, and then open it back up and log me back in, or boot me back up, I guess. And from there, let's go ahead and see what happens. So we are going to go ahead and boot into NixOS. This is just going to give us a command line if everything went well, and we should be able to go from there. So here we have NixOS login. So what we need to do now is create or enter my username and go ahead and enter the password that I gave it, and we are in NixOS. So you can see now we have a working bootable system. Let's go ahead and ping, see if we have internet. Maybe, I don't know, I guess we'll find out here in a minute. But what we need to do is, from everything I've read, we need to go check out our configuration file for our Nix operating system. Now this is where this system is kind of weird to me, and I understand the concept behind it and why they do it. It makes everything reproducible, which is really cool. So hopefully I get this right. But what we need to do is we need to go over to our etc. So let's cd into/etc/NixOS, I think is where it was, and there should be a file called configuration.nix. So let's do an ls, and there you go, we have a configuration.nix. So what we're going to do now is we are going to sudo -e configuration.nix and hit enter, and we're going to enter our password, and here we are. We have our configuration.nix configuration file here, and this is basically what we're going to use to kind of get going on our system. So let's go ahead and check out a few things here. You can see up here we've got, I can't scroll, but we have right here, we have config, packages, and then we have imports, /hardware configuration.nix. Then we have our bootloader information, and we have networking information. So enable networking.networkmanager.enable equals true. We have our time zone set, which was American Chicago. That's where I set my time zone. We have our English US UTF-8, and then we have our key map is a US key map, and then right here define a user account. Don't forget to set a password with password, but we have our user.users.jake, and then in that we have is normal user, true. Description is the username, Jake, and then extra groups. We have part of network manager group and part of wheel group. Packages equals with packages, and then we have nix packages, or nix pkgs.config.allow unfree equals true. So that was that selection where we wanted to allow unfree software. Then we have environment.system packages with pkgs, and system state version 22.11. So got a few things in here commented out. I'm not going to go over everything here. We got some, looks like SSH support and all that. But yeah, so that's kind of what you get out of the box with this calamares install on NixOS. But let's go ahead and make a few changes to this so that way we can have a graphical environment. Now I want to say that to do this is really simple from what I was reading. So let's just see if that's actually the case. And we're going to go ahead and try to get a graphical system set up and actually get a window manager installed and maybe a couple programs installed and just see how this works for us. So let's actually come down here, and I'm not sure if there's any in particular place I need to put this, but but let's go ahead and put it, I don't know, so services xserver. Let's put it around here, I guess, and just, oops, I'm in Nano. This doesn't start you with Vim, it starts you with Nano, which the Linux cast might like that since he's living in Nano right now. Matt, I don't feel for you. It's your choice, but you know, Nano's actually not bad. It's actually a pretty decent text editor once you get it all configured, which I think you'll learn real quick, Matt. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few things here and actually start some services. So I believe if I want to start xserver, I need to do a services .xserver .enable, not enable, E-N-A-B-L-E, if I could see, services.xserver.enable equals true. I think that's it. And then I think if I want to start a graphical environment on top of that, I think what I need to do, and you know, again, if this doesn't work for me, correct me in the comments, please. But I think what I got to do is a services.xserver is it window manager? No, it's capital M. I think. Is it? I think. Let's try it. Capital M. Window manager. And let's just do, I'm going to do one that I don't mess around with too much on screen. So let's just do i3. So let's do i3. I think services, xserver, window manager, i3 dot enable. Equals true. And then we put that there. So that should actually start my X session, or give me a graphical session that I can then log into i3 with. I think. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. So we're going to do a Control O, which is going to write, and we want to hit yes to write that, and then we're going to do a Control X to exit out of there. And then what you want to do is you want to do a sudo NixOS rebuild and then switch, I think was the command. So sudo NixOS-rebuild switch and hit enter. And we're going to ask for our passwords. We're going to go ahead and enter that. And then we're going to go ahead and rebuild this configuration file. It's basically going to recompile my system, I think, if I'm using the correct terminology. So it's building the system configuration, building Nix. And so it's going to go through, and as it builds, it's just going to implement this stuff. There's not any, I mean, you can install stuff, but you can actually just come to this configuration file from what I'm gathering and just add programs in there, and it will install them as it builds your system. So what this should do then is give us an X session, or it should fire up the X server, and then allow us to log into a graphical environment. It doesn't use the X in it. It doesn't use start X or anything like that from what I can recall. I think we just do this, recompile, and then when we log out and log back in or reboot the system, it will actually take me to a graphical environment. So let's just go ahead and give that a shot. So we're going to do a sudo, and we're going to do reboot and hit enter. And we're going to see what happens. It should give me a graphical. Okay, so see, now we have the first one we had. This was when we logged in the first time. It was our first generation build. Now we have generation 2. So this is the second build we've done. We're going to go ahead and hit enter. And fingers crossed, let's see what happens. Did I do this correctly? Or did I waste time? Oh, what happens? Am I going to hit enter and have an i3 window manager? Let's go ahead and see what happens. Enter. I have i3. Look at that. So if we hit enter, then it's going to generate the config. We want to go ahead and do that. We want the alt key because I'm not a super key user, and then we're going to hit enter. And there we go. So I should be able to hit mod enter, and that should launch my terminal, but I don't like that terminal. But I mean, that's, I guess, the one I'm going to have to use for right now. I'm sorry for the bright color. In fact, actually, I wonder if we can do this. Let's just go back into our TTY. Let's go ahead into F4, and let's log in here and install a couple programs. So let's go ahead and cd back to /etc/nixOS and hit enter, and let's sudo -e and configuration.nix and hit enter and enter our super secret high-tech high secure password. And now again, just like starting up the server, I believe all we have to do is we can add programs that we want installed in our system. And this is one of Nix's big selling points, is the fact that you can have reproducible systems, because you just build this config and then just take this configuration to whatever system you're using. I guess that's what the whole selling point is on this, and it's actually a pretty cool idea. So if this works, this might be something I'm going to be digging into a little more. I love my Void Linux setup, and I don't have any plans on leaving Void Linux, but I might just install this just to dabble around with it, just to kind of live life like the other half lived for a while, and see what all the fuss is about. But let's go ahead and check out some packages and see if we can install some packages. So I think what we can do is right here where it says environment system packages equals with pkgs. Excuse me. I think what we can do is come over here and we can hit enter, and let's go ahead and add a few programs. So what do we want to add first of all? First, let's add Alacrity. Let's get a good terminal in there that has a dark background and doesn't launch with that ugly, hideous, bright white, blinding background. So let's do Alacrity. And I don't think that's the way you do it. I think we do we have to do Nix package? No, I think we just do pkgs.alacrity. I think that's all we do. And then let's go ahead and add a web browser. So let's go ahead and add Firefox. Let's do pkgs.firefox. And let's do Vim, because I don't want to use Nano. So let's do pkgs.vim. And that should be good for the moment. Actually, you know what? Let's do the one thing that everybody installs first on their machine. So let's do pkgs.neofetch, because you know what? That's what us Linux guys do, I guess. So let's install those 4 packages. So when I go through and I run this rebuild again, what it should do is it should rebuild my Nix system and rebuild the configuration. And then when we log in, you saw we had the generation 1 and the generation 2 selections, so you can log into those. This should give us a generation 3 selection that has these programs installed. So let's go ahead and do a Control-O to write, and we're going to do a Control-X to exit. We are going to do the sudo NixOS-rebuild switch and hit enter, and we're going to go ahead and let that rebuild again. And this is going to take a second, so we'll go ahead and let that rebuild. And if this works, I think I might really check this out. I might either repartition my drive again and have Artix, Void, Windows, and NixOS on it, or I might just kind of wipe the Artix portion for a while and install NixOS and play around with it for a bit, because if this works, this is really cool, and I can see why it's so popular. Now, there were some things I have installed NixOS before briefly on my system using the calamares installer, but I installed it with a desktop just because I wanted to get it installed and running quick so I could see what was going on and see what it was like. And I did notice that the package manager was extremely slow, even more so than installing it on my Void system. And it's a little sluggish on the Void system, but it was really slow on Cinnamon when I installed it. And I'm sure there's ways to improve that and optimize the way it's running, but I haven't figured them out yet. So hopefully that's changeable, because that would be a real killer for me. I like my system to be fast and quick and just do things speedily, and it just didn't seem to do it. But let's go ahead and do a sudo reboot and hit enter, and let's go ahead and check this out again. And like I said, we should have 3 options now, and we do. We have generation 3, generation 2, generation 1. That was our first install. The second one was when we installed our xserver and i3 window manager. And our third install is when we installed Alacrity, Firefox, Vim, and NeoFetch. So I should have those 4 programs on my system now with no issues. So let's go ahead and log in there and see what happens. So if this actually works, this is actually pretty cool. So let's go ahead and give it our super secret password and hit enter. Now I should be able to do a mod D, I believe, in i3 to launch D menu. So mod D, yep, okay, and I should be able to, I can see right there, I have Alacrity on my system, so let's go ahead and run that. There it is. Now let's see if I have NeoFetch, and hit enter, and I do, I have NeoFetch. And let's see if I have Vim. I've got Vim, so let's quit out of there, and let's quit out of that, and let's do a mod D again and look for and I have Firefox. That's pretty flippin' cool. Uh, I got no other words. That's just pretty cool the way that works. I'm really gonna have to start playing around with this and checking this out. Unfortunately, I am about out of time for today's video, but man, stick with me. We're gonna dig into NixOS a little bit, I think, and we're gonna check some stuff out over the next few weeks. And I think we might get a NixOS system up and working and see what we think of it. So, that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, great, I appreciate it. Again, thank you to those of you who have become members. Again, if you're not interested in becoming a member and having a monthly amount taken out, I don't expect people to pay for anything. Prayers are the biggest thing I can ask for from you guys. But if you feel like supporting me any other way, I do have my YouTube memberships, and I do have Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee, you can obviously do monthly memberships, or you can do just this one-time deal, and either way or neither, it is greatly appreciated. So yeah, I love you guys all. You guys have a great rest of your week, and hey, I might see you tomorrow, because I'm going to play around with this a little bit more, and I might have some more to show you tomorrow. Not positive, but I might. So hey, you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe. God bless.